You know what? I haven't really looked that up. Are you posting those on the village website? The meetings
The
or no?
we're gonna start. Yeah, no, I'm not right now.
Oh, okay.
They are going to the media, Wisconsin Rapids Media, whatever that thing is.
Oh, okay. I heard. Okay.
So they're going there, but the challenge we're having is trying to upload them to the our site. We can sort that out.
Oh, okay. I just was curious. I
Yeah.
honestly have not had anybody ask. I did have somebody tell me they had watched some meeting.
They're watching it with the Wisconsin Rapids Media thing. Yeah.
Okay, that must be how they.
We get about 15, 20 views a month.
A month?
Oh,
Really?
15, 20 people have to get lives.
Yeah. And it's not any board members, right?
They're all come from a Dana's IP address, I think.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I still love that Saturday Night Live sketch where it's William Shatner's the host and all the Trekkies are out in the audience and they're all dressed up and start asking him questions about episode 41. And why did you say? And he just looks at him and goes, "You people, you have to get a life."
You're right.
Yeah.
It's a show I did for. Although we made him a billionaire.
Yeah.
His agent negotiated half of the royalties for anything and everything Star Trek. He lost half of it to his ex-wife in 1968 in his divorce, but he still gets a quarter of everything. So every book, every toy, every movie, he gets a quarter of the profit. The other half goes to Gene Roddenberry.
All right. We got yep.
So that's why he did Priceline. He put $250,000 of his own money into the company to start, or as initial founder. So anyway.
Dana, I hope you played trivia with all that random knowledge you have acquired.
Yeah, good comment, Betsy.
Well, yes.
Or we're gonna start a team and we're gonna win this thing.
Yeah, that's the problem. And it's a common thing in the family. It's like we read something, we hear something like that. I can tell you exactly where I heard when I heard this piece about Shatner. It was a piece on Wisconsin Public Radio that was being done while I was in law school. And I was sitting in my law firm library listening to it while I was writing some position paper for my boss. That's
you got your mic off. You're fine. You have your mic off, be fine. Because they'll hear you here.
It is on.
Yeah, they'll hear you here. You're good.
It's the hear back.
all right. Well, anyway. Whoop. Suppose turn that
I
down.
have a problem here, John.
There you go.
All right.
Star Trek facts and
I'm
spaghetti
wondering
western
who's
music.
Good, the bad, and the ugly.
I went to that movie set in Spain. Pretty interesting place.
So Tom and I we did our 51st podcast on the greatest movie of all time on Saturday. We'll do 52 this week. We're going to do
So what is the
Whiplash.
greatest movie?
Well, it's what we're trying to come up with. Tom created a scoring method, a rubric.
Okay.
And about halfway through the season, I suggested that we should name the rubric Stanley rubric.
Rick. Okay. Gotcha.
That's bad.
Yeah, that is bad. I agree, John.
Oh, but
That's pretty
everybody
clever
loves
at
it.
the
I'm
same
actually going to
time.
copyright it.
Yeah.
But so far, our number one movie was the one we did Saturday, 12 Angry Men.
Really?
Yeah.
So
and it
was
was
it
primar-
only men in your group that you were surveying?
No, it's just he and I. We grade it.
Oh, it's just the two of you.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then people we've had
Together or?
close to 1,500 downloads.
And,
So
Dana, are we
so
done?
people are listening to it.
Jose,
So
we're gonna start now. And I would
That's
ask the
fine.
clerk to call the roll.
I wanted more movie stuff.
yeah.
Him.
Bingham, are you here?
Yes,
Trustee Duncan,
yes,
trustee Granda,
Yes,
trustee Mansell,
Here,
Mitchell,
Is that Mitchell? Here.
Taylor.
I'll be late.
And Eric will be a little tardy this evening. Now I would ask you all to please rise and face the flag, and at home, if you have one, face it. If not, face the east for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, and justice for all.
thank you very much. You may be seated. Okay, I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda for the meeting minutes from 12 January 2021 and the vouchers, monthly bills, journal entries, etc. Do I have a second?
second,
Second by
Second.
trustee Grundon. Anybody wish to pull one of the two items from consent agenda for more discussion? Hearing no request, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
I,
Hi.
aye,
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comments.
Do we have anyone on the phone line?
No one's there to make public comments. Okay, president's report. I want to clarify something. I made a mistake when Tierra was down one person for her committee. And she had a contact and ended up getting Eric to fill in. And I kind of thought that wasn't the way to do it, but I checked back on my notes from April of 2017 when I instructed the board that if a committee is down one member, they have two options. First of all, the chairman is in charge of getting a replacement. That way we don't have various people looking for somebody and then having two or three people show up. And of course, also I attend all meetings. You can always use me in a last resort if you can't get anybody to be a voting member. So Tierra, I want to publicly apologize to you again for the little fiasco I caused.
no problem, no
last-
problem at all.
that's why we try to avoid using you for meetings, Joe.
So Chairman, you guys are, and gals are responsible for getting your replacements. Okay, the second item. Administrative review date, administrators review dates. Dana, that's gonna be out of your committee, so would you take that, please?
All right. Well, we'll actually, did we discuss the fact that we were going to try to look for time to kind of give it some feedback? Mr. President? Because otherwise I have a review format that I use for
Are
my
you doing a separate
employees.
meeting or as part of his meeting?
My intent was the last time, didn't we have a meeting of the board, committee of the whole, and then you and I think it was Sue or whoever the last time, or Tierra met with the person?
It was Luann, and yes, we had a brief meeting in closed session with a format that Luann had, and we all kind of gave our feedback, took notes, compiled it into one thing, and then met to give that feedback.
Okay, what's the feeling of the board on that? Do you want to try the members of the board filling out a review and then getting it to Dana. And then he can choose a member to go with him to meet with Boz. What's your feelings?
I believe if memory serves me, Luann was chair of HR at the time. Is that correct, Dana?
Correct,
Okay, and then you were the other individual?
correct.
Okay, yeah, and we did a kind of a closed session review, and then the two of them communicated with the administrator. I concur with that process if the board still wants to go in that direction.
Dana, are we not possible, or is it not possible to use, I'm sorry, Joe, I should have asked for permission.
Okay, go ahead.
To use the survey that Boz did with us and take the information from that and then expand on it? Or you feel it's necessary to do a more in-depth
Well,
review?
the format I have is 1 current, 2 short-term, 3 long-term. It gives some feedback on various aspects of it so that it gives like specific points that we want to see raised and things done in the interim, and then more long-term as far as personal growth, professional growth, within the position.
Right.
You wanted to use it that or do that format, I don't care. I just wanted to make sure there was a process, because whatever we adapt, I think we need to keep it in place, because the problem is if you use one format to begin with and then change it 6 months later, how do you got apples and oranges, how do you really judge whether there's been any accomplishment of the tasks involved?
I guess I'd like to see the evaluation before we use it.
Okay,
That sounds good to me. I think that's a good idea. I see where you're both coming, but I agree if the board as a whole could see what tool we're using.
hey, why don't I do the following? Why don't I send out, it's gonna have to be adapted a little bit because of, the format that we use is adapted. It's different for administrative staff, from management, and then again from the attorneys in my office, for obvious reasons. So there's a certain level of adaptation that's done. I'll adapt it. I'll send it out. If everybody can send feedback to me on what you want to do before the FHR committee meeting. And then we can go from there, if that sounds fair.
The president likes that idea very much, and it should probably come out of FHR anyway, if you agree. Is that okay?
So Dana, you're gonna initiate that?
Yep, I'll take care of it. It'll be out to you within the week.
Don't talk to
So I should have indicated I'm a little remiss, because I thought about this during the holidays and then kind of like forgot about it in the interim between then and the first part of January. And actually, I had made a point of bringing it up at FHR last week when I got Boz's email. So it's not something that was not contemplated. It's just.
Okay, in summing up everything, we will wait to hear from Chairman Duncan, okay? And move forward from there.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, the next thing are a couple of special committees. Both have been in existence before. And I'm thinking of bringing them both back, and I'll basically explain my reasons here. Both give me the authority to sign special committees under Ordinance 2, Section 4, subsection 2, where the president may call what special committees, paraphrasing here, that he deems necessary, appoint the members and the chairman of such committees. The first one that I'm thinking of bringing back, due to our parks really taking off and having a lot of changes, is the Parks and Recreation Committee. I would like to try that again for a year, just to see if it would warrant, have enough business, have enough traffic, to keep it busy each and every month. Years ago, sometimes they would meet, sometimes they wouldn't meet, but I think our parks are able to stand alone again and be more, have more business to do. I spoke to the vice president on this, and he said that he would like to see it come back full-time. But I think we should give it a year's trial from this April to April of the following year. And I'm looking for feedback if you guys want to shoot me an email about that. Your feelings on it, especially Sue, because they would be taking, the recreation, Parks and Recreation would be coming out from underneath Cirque and standing alone on as a special committee, like I said, for this year of trial. I really appreciate your feedback, and if all of you feel strongly that you want to see it as a standing committee brought back, well, I can't do that alone. That would have to have a motion and a second, and the board would have to approve that. And then it's treated like any of the other standing committees. Any questions on the procedure? Okay, so if you want to get a hold of me, I'll be bringing more of that up in March and officially appoint them at the organizational meeting in April, which is the third Tuesday in April. Then the other one that I'm bringing back for the first reason is things are starting to heat up more than they have been at DMI, even though I still have the wait and see attitude. And the other thing that was brought up in a conversation with Chairman Duncan of the Finance and Human Resource Committee and PIT Committee is the return of the detached area over on the east side of the village that is due to come back 31 December 2023. And Dana had a few good ideas on what we should probably be thinking in that area. And the Special Projects Committee was basically just Dana working with the administrator, and he was paid a per diem for the meetings that he called on that. The main thing about that, and Dana, I'll ask you to explain it more about the authority Dana received from the board in the previous Special Projects Committee. Dana, you want to take it?
Suppose I should unmute first. If you remember, what was happening is I would come forward with a broad range of things, what we wanted to accomplish, where we wanted to go, and then I'd ask for permission or for authority from the board directly to act within that parameters. And as things come up, Boz is going to want to turn to somebody, and I just trying to avoid having the probability of having to have several 5-minute meetings here and there to approve some little aspect about like where we should put funds from the escrow or something like that. And, it would all be kind of laid out, but it would just be allowed. And then what would end up happening is then I would file a report, and at the next board meeting, you just say, yes, we agreed, and ratify it. That way it avoids a lot of extra problems, or kind of keeps everybody in not having to attend a lot of pointless meetings.
Another thing about that too is Boz has been, as we know, in communication with DMI hot and heavy now, and things are progressing somewhat and more than they have in the past. But there's only so much Boz can do. In another part of the Special Projects Committee that dealt with DMI when it was in existence, with Dana having the permission on certain items that he was allowed to give board authority on that situation to Boz. And that is a reason why I'm thinking of bringing the special committee back. And the final reason, not the most important one, is Dana spends a lot of time on these sometimes. And even though the committee is not in existence at this time, and I just think he should be in reverse for his time that he spends on village business. Feelings, questions? So
what are you-
basically, Dana, oh, I'm sorry,
Well, I was just gonna ask, so what are you proposing?
about proposing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
in other words, for reimbursement, or you're just saying following what's happened previously?
yes, he was reimbursed the per diem back when the Special Projects Committee was involved, and they reported to the HIT committee.
Right,
Just for your information, the way it would work is I would ask for a per diem of the normal meeting rate if I spent more than an hour of time on it. I mean, we had a couple of conference calls that lasted a couple of hours here and there. And so, and that's the extent of it. It's not like it's a large amount of money, but
yeah. Oh, I was just curious. Yeah, I don't think I realized what had been done previously, so, okay.
Okey dokey, then Dana, if you could draft up something for us to review.
Sure.
As to the generalities of what the board will give you authority to act on their behalf, that would be good.
right now, I don't know if there's anything specific that has to be done, but I will put together something to that and I'll confer with Boz and find out where things are, make sure that we're adequately organized and protected.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, we'll end the longest in history president's report for the village board and go on to committee reports. Boz, would you take the airport commission, please?
You see in the last airport meeting in January, really just a lot of administrative stuff with some internet and so on. Nothing of a concern for the village. So it, just for your information purposes, just be advised that the airport hangar is the second county site for COVID vaccine. They are using it as a drive-in, drive-out. Not really going to be impacting us now with the low numbers, but in the next few months, when they open up the gates for the average citizen, that'll be where we direct them, and there may be some assistance requirements through the county if that bubbles up with security or assistance to staff it, but more to follow on that.
So you're saying us senior citizens are not average?
No, you're not, especially you, John.
And you, Sue?
Yeah, right. I've already gotten mine.
Oh, I'm scheduled.
Okay.
Just feel the love between Boz and John. Anyway, enough for that. Chairman Stewart, Police and Fire Commission notes, please.
Good evening, everybody. We met a little more than a week ago on the 1st. During our meeting, we discussed several resumes, applications, background investigations, and interviews of 3 potential fire department employees and 1 potential part-time police employee. Subsequent to those discussions, we appointed Alicia Brundage to a part-time police officer position. Some of you may remember Alicia. She used to work part-time for a village years ago. She's been with Wood County Sheriff since, I think, around 9 or 10 years, if I remember correctly. Great experience, very highly recommended, and she is going to come on and provide some part-time assistance in the open position that was part-time for the police department. Also, the commission appointed Aurora Abley to an associate firefighter position. And she's lots of good things we hear about her. Her interview went very well as well. I think the village is very fortunate to have these 2 women on the team. Beyond that, a ceremonial swearing in will and pinning on the badges will probably occur sometime in the future when we can do it safely at a board meeting. The commission also rejected appointments of 2 other fire department applicants. We did not feel that they met the standards of the men and women of the Port Edwards Fire Department. And I think the next time we meet is going to be April 5. And that's all I have. If anyone has any questions.
Scott, just a matter of semantics, and it's probably just me, but from a HR perspective, I prefer to call the police employees and the fire volunteers. The hires.
Okay, John.
They're not really an
No
employee. We have to be careful with that from a semantic perspective.
Why, you're not paying them when they go on calls?
We are. Volunteers are
Right.
different than employees.
Yeah, the volunteers are getting paid if they go on calls.
I get paid for these meetings. I'm not an employee of the village. It's just a semantics thing, and I see Betsy frowning, but it's
Technically, John, we're all employees of the village. We get a W-2.
Thank you, Tiara.
True.
Or a 1099, yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody see the worms crawling out of the can?
Okay. Is
There
that
are
all,
some.
Chairman Stewart?
Thanks, that's all I have. Thank you.
All righty. Chairman Mitchell, search committee, please.
Okay, quick, let's see. Comments, I guess I'll comment as I go through, quickly go through the meeting, which was held on January 19th. We had a public hearing to begin with. We had 4 citizens that were present to express their feelings about the assessment proposal that we had made. And just within my comments, CERC has sort of done a 180, and we're now looking at another possibilities, which will be discussed at our next meeting. We also had 2 people who sent in comments by mail, or mail and email, I think, for that hearing as well. Let's see, what else did we talk about? Special assessments obviously took up the most time. We are considering looking at what is commonly known as a wheel tax, and that's what we will be focusing on for the next meeting. We also did a quick review of the capital improvement plan for 2021, obviously for this year. Talked briefly about the town line road repairs and probably our 0.62 miles. It's probably going to cost us about 25,000 for this next year. We talked about geese droppings. Boz came forward with a suggestion that came, I think, from his wife about some kind of a light thing that can be put in the water there that will apparently make the geese not want to be there, which obviously is our goal. We will continue to look at that issue into the future to see whether that's the direction, I guess, that we feel is most, will be most useful. Our next meeting is going to be at a different time than what is listed on our minutes, which was the 16th. It's now going to be the 18th of February at 4 p.m. Okay, so now there also is a motion that we need to go forward with tonight that has to do with our discussion about funds related to assessments and how we're going to bring those into the village. Yeah, I probably should read it from the agenda for tonight. So I move to freeze all special assessment collections for 2021 until the final decision is made by the board on new special assessment collection methods.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Somebody chime in before Tiara?
Eric,
Eric
Eric?
did.
Okay, Eric, second by trustee Saylor. Open discussion.
I'll support the tolling of it, but I can just tell you this. No one will ever be happy.
And we realize that, Dana, and we will be assessing that in our next discussion too, realizing that that's a case. We're going to be looking at the facts and what we feel is most, what do I want to say, appetizing to
Oh,
the
it's a
citizens of the
very-
village.
It's
So,
a very simple remedy. You pick those that have the smaller number of complaints.
well, that's part of the direction, that's part of the reason why we have sort of changed directions. So come hear our discussion again on the 18th. And there will be,
Clarification, the necessity of this motion was because we have Third Street being executed right now. And those 20 residents would have gotten letters from us this week saying they have to pay, exorbitant numbers. So recommendation to the CERC was, let's delay that and sort out what we're going to do. Otherwise, we would, you'd have a resident paying $5,000 this week, and then next week you guys vote a different way, and no one else is paying nothing for the rest of the year. Then you would have your phone lines clogged.
thanks, Boz, for
Yeah.
putting
Okay.
that out there, because that does help explain why exactly.
Anybody else out there here to speak on this issue?
I'm going on record as voting against any changes to our special assessment formula, and I will in the future. Just to let you know where I'm at, just because we didn't put enough money into the budget for those items does not mean we should start charging our residents more. I'm opposed to any changes. In fact, we should terminate this discussion tonight, in my opinion. I know there's not the votes for that, but the residents do not want this.
John, maybe we need to explain that we are not necessarily upping charges. I'm not sure where that's coming from. We're looking for something that will be more fair to all of those citizens.
The current policy is sidewalk, curb, and gutter. Stay with it.
Okay.
None of this has to do with the motion that's,
Yeah,
I understand that, Eric, but I'm just trying to, in the future, I want you guys to think about this. Because residents are thinking about this, and that's where they are. So I apologize if I'm off center here as far as the motion.
Point of order.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of all kinds of public improvements without anybody paying for them. So, so that's fine. I'll go on record for that.
Okay, back to circling the wagons. If there's no other discussion about the motion, I will ask all those in favor of the motion as read by Chairman Mitchell to signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? John, was that a no?
No, I wasn't I. We're
Okay,
freezing it, right? We're freezing the discussion.
that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Okay, I carried unanimously. Sue, anything else?
no, that is the end of my comments.
Okay,
Mr. President, let me explain what's in the packet if you don't mind.
yeah.
We don't need to discuss, why this was added into your packet. I wanted to give not only the entire board, but the CERC committee some read ahead for our discussion next Tuesday. Hence why this was added. This is the product that the CERC committee directed me to produce when it came to the vehicle registration infrastructure fee wheel tax. So it just gives you the background. It gives you some information, comparables, the rough amounts of money that the village would get. Obviously, these are not replacement numbers, meaning we are not doing this to conduct major road projects. We are doing this, recommending to do this to augment our current projects. They're not standalone. You're not going to standalone a project for $30,000. There's some correspondence we did with local communities with their feedback. You'll quickly see that the majority of these entities that go this route continue with special assessments. This is an augmentation, it's not a replacement. And then this is the revenue that we would expect. And then the slides are just more to give you some background for the past 5 years of where we stand as a village, of the amount of money that was generated by either curb and gutter, sidewalks, repairs, roads and street maintenance that we put into our budget, and the what we did for major capital projects. So it just gives you a little historical context. I do want to clarify, Ben did mention this to me, and it needs clarification. State road funding, just so we're all clear, don't think because the great state of Wisconsin gave us these numbers that you see for the past 5 years that it went straight to our roads and our public works department. It went into the general fund. We used it as we saw fit. That's a whole different discussion we can have with the CERT committee. And we will. I'll be honest with you. I will energize that discussion because this may be kind of the problem what put us in this situation. The state gives us road repair money, road funding annually. You see the amounts there. What we do with it is what we do with it. That could be a problem. That'll be discussed more in detail next week. And here's what the future would look like, as you quickly see, when it comes to what we generate by taxes, what we send into our roads projects, what we get from the state revenue, what we would augment our income with a wheel tax if we went that route. And for the next 5 years until we exhaust the TIF, what the TIF money would augment projects within the TIF district. That money obviously goes away at a certain point in time. So this quickly shows you that across the spectrum of the amount of projects that we could do for the village, major repairs as well as regular maintenance. And that's really why I wanted to add this into your packet, so we all have a good start point for the discussion next Thursday.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Buzz.
Chairman Grundon, public safety, please.
All right, so public safety, I'm sorry, I need to expand my stuff. We met, oh my God, February 2nd. We don't have any motions coming out of this month's meeting, but one thing to note, and I'm not sure if I brought it up at the last monthly board meeting. I did want to mention the retirement of Doug Kanowski after 31 years of service to the village. So if anyone sees him, make sure to thank him. One of the other issues, there's been some, and I think this has been discussed in more than one committee, but overweight trucks on Port Road being an issue of concern. So the conclusion of the conversation that Port Road is being patrolled, looking for that. The vehicles that they have pulled over have not been local. When they do pull them over, they do cite them, so to speak. The other thing to note was that if a community member should happen to see a overweight vehicle, a semi or something like that on that road, it would be helpful to call dispatch right away so that if there is an officer that's available, they can try to locate that vehicle and take action. One of the other things that was discussed was a bullying ordinance. After the conclusion of that discussion is at this time, we think what is set in place is working for us as far as what the school is doing and the support they receive from our police department. I think that's about it. We don't have any motions this month. Anybody have any questions? If
Okay,
not, that's all I've got.
Just a clarification. When I see when the trucks, because I'm coming in from on 73 up to 54 on a regular basis because of my office. And I see most of the time the trucks going up Port Road are coming from 73 through Nakusa. They're trying to cut off the fact that it's a little longer route to go 54 up to River Road and take that through. So that's what they're doing. Is it better to try to get a hold of dispatch and get somebody out there, or is it satisfactory to do what I've been doing, which is to take the company and the truck number and phone that in if need be?
Once they can't do any, and Chief, if you could unmute and participate in this, I don't think they can do anything after the fact. It would be calling dispatch right away. And there is also a signage issue coming from Nakusa. Then the other thing, what seems to have been a pattern is when they're pulled over, their GPS is actually telling them to go that way. Although they're not looking at the signs and not following through, they're just watching their GPS. So, but it is something that the county is watching, and I hope somebody answers that phone. The county is keeping track of, and the Port Police Department. But the thing that we have to keep in mind is that we have typically one officer on at a time. So do we want them in the school or, working with the citizen, or sitting for their shift patrolling, just sitting watching Port Road? That's the predicament.
Well, I mean, what better witness could there be than me? I mean, I'm completely honest,
You're a
forthright.
lawyer. How can you be completely
course.
honest?
Of
Yeah,
course.
I think-
Just
I
like,
think, we've whipped that horse till it's on its knees, and I do thank you, Chairman Grundon, for the input. And Trustee Duncan, I extend the same offer to you, tongue in cheek. All right, moving on. Chairman Duncan, if you want to take planning, property, and information, and then go right into finance and human resources, sir.
all right. Well, we met last Thursday. We approved the agenda. We had a brief update on the 241, 251 market project, which is in minutes, which you can see going forward. I believe there's a closing date set. Is that correct, Buzz? If I
Yes,
remember right?
15 April, or
Okay.
15 February, I'm sorry, February.
Yeah, apparently it's been a little slowed because our former property owner is living in Georgia now. So well, that's fine with me. Anyway, then we discussed the Market Street Condo Association update. I think we pretty much kind of came to the consensus that we'd be better off not to be involved in another condo association, and we'll try to work out some sort of a meeting with the various tenants and discuss how we're going forward. We had an update regarding DMI, and we renewed the contract for Vanderwall. So I would entertain a motion to approve the contract or consultant contract with Vanderwall and Associates for a period of 1 year.
So move.
Okay, motion by Chairman Duncan, second by Trustee Bingham to approve the consultant contract with Vanderwall and Associates for the TIF management for the village for a 1-year period, and renewed as required at the recommendation of the village administrator. Is there any discussion? Hearing no request to speak, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries unanimously.
The water bills went out for the rental properties, and so we're pursuing those lines of notifying the rent or the landlords about water bill problems or late billing at their request. So that's all we had on that.
Okay. If that is all, Mr. Chairman, we'll go on to item number 8, unfinished business from previous meeting. New business.
Aren't we missing my other committee?
FHR.
Yeah,
Oh.
my apologies. I don't see FHR in the packet. My bad. Was it there?
Yeah, okay, it's in the packet, finance and human resources. My fault, Dane, I'm sorry.
No problem. Let's see here.
Got it. Thanks.
All right. Basically, we met again last Thursday. We approved the minutes. I would move to approve the monthly bills and journal entries as passed by the committee.
Motion by trustee Duncan to approve the, we did that already.
We did that. I'm sorry.
Under consent agenda.
Okay, so there, that's fine then. So that's basically it. There's notes in there. We will potentially will be getting an intern at no cost to the village. Hopefully that'll be something that'll be advantageous to us, and so we'll see where we are. But other than that, that's basically the FHR report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Maria is sitting down here in the MBC with Boz and Diane and myself, so she is on board. Okay, unfinished business or new business? Okay, report from a village administrator.
All right, good evening. You see your February report there. Basically, we're plugging away at the new year vaccine. We're tracking that with the county. Right now, the county's estimating about 10% of the village has been vaccinated. And that's basically based on the categories of emergency workers and the older generation, John, older generation.
Thank you, Boz.
Yeah, no change in our
We
village
know who
staff.
We are.
Yes, no change in village staff other than what was noted. We do now have 3 temporary work study students, 2 for police, 1 for general government. So Mr. Maria Lopez, a Nakusa resident, but she works at the full-time at the Lincoln High School, is with us. You'll probably be seeing her in the committee meeting. She'll work with us in the afternoons. So that'll be her time frame. So she'll participate in some of the committee meetings as well as the board meetings and be working on special projects and learning about general government. You see our payroll concerns there. No, we're really just prepping projects. Nothing big is going on other than snow plowing and so on. Continuing to work the siren and trucks being delivered or worked on for delivery. There's a banter back and forth about the whole masking, not masking, emergency orders. We're just going to keep it at our level right now. There's no appetite at the county level for a overall mandate. Not seeing that happening in the near future, regardless of how it goes with the revocation of whatever at the state level. But we're going to just continue doing best practices at our level. You see the police and fire information there. No issues with the village budget. You see a lot of expenditures there, but that's just what happens at the beginning of the year. We get a lot of tax revenue. We pay a lot of the big ticket items, the insurance, and a bunch of other large ticket items, and what we owe the school district and so on. So that's where you see your large numbers there. We're actually going to inspect the property 241251 Market tomorrow. Myself and Ben will go through there to make sure it's being weatherized, winterized, and it's not going to cause us any problems when we occupy it full time. And I'll present to the PIC committee the future of what we're going to either rent it out with. You see your census numbers. The census has been delayed till July. So the official recount, while we have some estimates that actually put our numbers up a little bit past 1,800, we are not going to get an official number until late July. That ties into possible redistricting for the state, and more to follow on that. Participated in a conversation with them the past 2 days, how that's going to impact us, if at all. You see your COVID numbers there, a large decrease, I'll say. Right now, according to the county, there are no active cases in Port Edwards, at least people that are self-reporting and being either quarantined officially. So the county's saying you're 0. They track that daily, and our numbers are dropping across the county as well as in Port Edward. So good for us. And we'll continue to monitor that as well as the immunizations as they roll out. In the county, about 10,000, about 15% of the county population has been vaccinated. And we'll continue working on that based on the phases as you see there. And you see, that's about it for the, yeah, that's it. You see the projects the next 30, 60 days. Any questions?
Any questions for Boz? I'm sure you all read that before the meeting. Okay, thanks, Boz. Diane, clerk treasurer. Okay, moving on to trustee comments and correspondence. I would like Boz to, he has a special one I would like him to present in correspondence.
You see 3 that are here. This was individuals from Aspirus for Chief Arndt, EMS Director Coordinator for Saratoga. And then you see a thank you for our elves that we did during the holidays. The village greatly helped out on that. Specifically here, we have a more senior level recognition of Chief Arndt from the Pittsville Fire Chief. So this is a peer, doesn't have to do this type of stuff, but he reached out on his own based on the ongoing work that Patrick does. I won't read it to you, but very appreciative of Chief Minor and his comments to not only Patrick, but about our fire organization. And I think, be honest with you, just my interactions with them, seeing them on scene from Patrick all the way down, we are a volunteer fire department in name only. They're very professional. They do God's good work. They're well respected in the communities, and we are good to have them on our side, working for the village and representing the village well. And I appreciate every day that they show up to a fire, EMS call, or just helping out. That's all I got, sir.
Okay, thanks, Boz. Trustee comments.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
and I would ask Eric and Dana to correct me on my perception. The Port Road thing, I think, first of all, I think the police department is doing a great job on that. They can't be out there all the time. I think it's a minimal problem. It's one that may never, ever be completely satisfied. I think we have some residents who every time a truck goes by, it's a problem. And it is, I understand. I mean, I live on Wisconsin River Drive, but I think things are being done to address it. And I want to say that to Scott, excuse me, Drew, and to our police department and to the people making the efforts. So I'm not sure. And again, Dana and Eric, correct me. When I left that meeting, I thought, well, maybe it's not as big a problem as it's portrayed. So I think we're doing the best we can is what I got to say.
Okay, thank you, John. Any other trustee comments?
Yes, I will make one. Kudos to Public Works and to Ben specifically. I must say that in driving around town, Port Edwards roads are the best maintained for snow and ice removal of any municipality in the area, by far. They have done a really excellent job so far this winter. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, we're at a 9. Wisconsin Rapids, Nakusa, much lower numbers. For that matter, my wife and in-laws have been up in Wausau, and they're even worse than they are in Wisconsin Rapids. So I think we've really exceeded expectations as far as that, and I commend them for their job they're doing.
Thank you, sir.
Second that, Dana.
Yep, also.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay,
just-
we're going to move on to the village meetings of the Port Edwards Village Board and the Police and Fire Commission from February 10th to March 9th. Boz, take her away, and if you want to do a reminder again on the CERC meeting change.
Yeah, just change your CERC meeting to 18 February, 4 p.m. 4 p.m. Other than that, everything there is correct. And I do not include the Police and Fire Commission. That'll be, probably next month. We'll highlight that one.
I think Scott said, April. 5.
April 5th. Yeah. Yeah. Any questions on me? We're going to still continue. If a chairman's told me via Zoom, we're going to continue via Zoom. But I think the president, and based on the vaccine rollout, we'll make those decisions in the near future about not only the village board meeting, but some of these committee meetings going back to a more in-person, but we will continue committee as well as board meetings to have Zoom capability and off-site capability fully acceptable for members, trustees, as well as individuals if they want to dial in. So that option is going to start changing. Everyone around us, not saying they're right, everyone around us from Rapids, Nakusa, Saratoga are all being in-person county. They're all going back to in-person meetings starting this month. I think that decision needs to be addressed just based on the interaction that we do effectively. So.
I do have a question on the pit and the FHR. I know there's been talks about flip-flopping them, but on the schedule, you got 1700 for one and then 1730 right after that. What time is the pit? So I don't miss the pit.
Oh, sorry.
Um,
Pit follows FHR, correct? Yeah, that's on me.
okay.
So 5:30 is pit. Yeah, flip-flop your times there. My apologies.
Okay, thanks for pointing that out.
FHR is at 5, pit is at 5:30.
Yep.
And I'm really looking forward to encouraging, if it's the trustees' decision, of course, but in April, I would really like to see us start using our precautions of mask and spacing. And I've had one vaccination. We'll finish up on Friday with my second. And being honest with you, I'm getting claustrophobic, I guess, staying at home, and my wife has me doing too many things. So I'm looking forward to get down here in person with my peers. So hopefully you will join us, but for sure in April, I would like to really start going full force meeting in person. Anybody have anything else to say before I call for adjournment? Hearing no request.
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Bingham. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mitchell. We're adjourned.
Have a good night, everybody.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night,
Night, everyone.